Al Capone throws me a curve. A tale from Alcatraz. Written by Gennifer Choldenko. This is a map of Alcatraz Island. These are the parade grounds. This is the Piper's house. This is apartment OH or Annie's. Apartment 3G, the Trixie's and Bay Hair Salon. The dock, the convicts come in here. A metal detector. The canteen. Apartment 2G for the Madamans. Apartment 2E, I live here. The Officers Club. The back stairwell to the warden's house. The back entrance to the cell house. And this is the cell house. The industry building. There are guard towers and a recreational yard. Al Capone throws me a curve. Chapter 1, Potty Training a Snake. Date, Thursday, May 26, 1936. Even when you live on a prison island with crafty criminals plotting ways to knock you off, summer is the best time of the year. No tests, no homework, no getting up early to catch the ferry, no teachers who think you flunked a few grades because you're kind of big for your 13 and a half. Summer is freedom. Not for the prisoners, of course, but for us kids who live on Alcatraz Island. Naturally, summer on Alcatraz isn't like summer other places. For one thing, the weather in the San Francisco Bay can be colder and foggier than in winter. For another, kids can't go places on the island. We're not allowed in the cell house, in the industry buildings, or in the West Side Gardens. In the most of the beaches, and we're not allowed in all the guard towers. Our fathers work in the prison up top, so they're allowed everywhere. But even with restricted access, there are 2 decent spots to play baseball. The parade grounds and down by the dock. And there's one other Alcatraz kid who can really play. She's a girl, but still, baseball. That's what I'm thinking about as I shovel in my breakfast toast, hoping the last 5 days of school will go fast. My father frowns at me, crushing crumbs with his fork. Saw the warden at shooting practice this morning. He wants to talk to you. I stopped chewing. The warden? Why? He shrugs. Uh-oh. My older sister Natalie mutters. Her blonde brown head is bent forward as she counts toothpicks in rows. She's tall, like my mom. But she holds herself in a way that makes her look younger and smaller than she is. My father's hand hovers over Natalie's toothpicks. Okay, if I take one? Natalie hands him the last one in line. We moved up here from Santa Monica a year and a half ago. Nat could go to a school called the Esther P. Marnoff, which helps kids whose brains aren't wired like everyone else's. My parents sacrificed a lot for her to go to that school. Well, we all did. My father was an electrician in Santa Monica, but he had a hard time finding a job up there. It's almost impossible to get work on account of the Depression. I don't understand exactly what the Depression is, except that it has to do with banks collapsing and people not having money. The only job my father could get was as a guard and an electrician in the prison. Everyone likes him here, though, so he has been promoted to assistant warden. Since Nat's been at the Esther P. Marinoff, she's learned how to have a conversation, not just echo what you say. She still has a difficult time looking at people in the eye, but she has been trying really hard. Now we're helping her make friends. My father watches Nat move up to a new project, cutting pictures out of magazines and pasting them to boards. My mom has written happy on one board. Natalie hunts for pictures of people who are happy. There's another board for sad, but Nat doesn't care much about that one. Look at you, sweet pea. One day you'll find a nice man to marry, and you'll live in your very own house. My mother doesn't like it when my father talks about Nat getting married. She thinks it's more than Natalie will manage. But my father says nonsense. His girl can do anything. Dad strokes his bald spot. You'll never guess who I drove up top last night. I don't have to guess. I know. Piper. Piper is the warden's 13-year-old daughter. When I first moved to the island, and I was stupid as a stone, I had a crush on her. Now I know better. Well, I hope I do anyway. Sometimes I get a little turned around by how cute she is. Piper has a good side, but it's tiny and not easy to locate. Dealing with her is like potty trading a snake. Which end does the business? I don't even know. I take a bite of crispy corner of my toast. Am I supposed to go before school? Oh, should it take long? My father glances at the clock. The warden's a busy man. And you, sweet pea, he turns to Natalie. Happy day before your birthday. Nat doesn't answer. Things have always been screwy around Natalie's birthday. Every year, Mom pretends Natalie is turning 10 again, instead of 14, 15, 16, or this year, 17. Mom wants Nat to be younger, so she has more time to catch up with the other kids. After breakfast, I put my scratchy shirt and tie, my good trousers, and squeaky shoes. When my mom sees me, she takes a step back. Moose, what's happened to you? I shrug. No sense in getting her worked up. If my dad hasn't told her, I'm certainly not going to. Outside, I trespass the guard tower, which is a tiny room on the 3-story tall metal legs. All the firepower on the island is up on the towers and in the gun galleries. An armed guard down with the convicts can be jumped, ambushed, taken down. But when a guard is up high with his gun trained on us, we're all safe. Well, or as safe as we can be on a 12-acre rock with kidnappers, con men, hitmen, bank robbers, criminals, crooks, murderers, and maybe an assassin or two. I walk up the steep switchback to the top of the island, which really stinks. Alcatraz is the world's biggest bird toilet. Plus, there are 350 prisoner toilets up here. They don't help the aroma, that's for sure. The sky directly over the island is a crisp blue, but the fog is rolling through the Golden Gate. Blink once, it's sunny. Blink twice, and the world has gone gray. I'm in no hurry to see the warden, so I take a detour by the recreation yard wall. My dad says the prison yard is a little piece of hell. Things happen there that you don't even want to know about. The prisoners play baseball here on weekend afternoons. I've never seen them play, but I've heard them. One of the guys, a guy named Fastball, who works in the warden's house, made it to the minor leagues before his bank robbing career got in the way. Another, Fat Fogarty, hit so hard he's broken 2 bats. It's scary then that they give baseball bats to felons. But I guess baseball can make any guy behave. My father says baseball is as important inside the prison as it is outside it. He says the prison game scores get posted right next to the major league scores on the menu every week. I keep walking past the cell house, where Con is shouting about a hanging tree. I've never been inside the main part of a cell house, and I sure don't want to go in there either. Since a convict stabbed my father a few months ago, I haven't thought it was so great to live on an island with a bunch of murderers, especially with a sister like Natalie. I don't think Dad understands that. He says I should have a positive attitude and not worry so much. But after your father almost dies, you don't look at stuff the same way anymore. I scoot to the other side of the narrow road. It's just as soon to keep my distance. When I get to the warden's mansion, I walk up the stairs to the stoop. From here you can see across the bay to San Francisco. I take a deep breath and press the doorbell. A man in a white shirt, a black tie, and khaki pants opens the door. He's short, with hair like fur on a stuffed animal. He has large brown eyes, an egg-shaped head, and a kind smile. My father said that pass men who work at the warden's house, are chosen from a small group of prisoners who are almost done with their sentences. Lifers, prisoners who will never get to go free, don't have an incentive to do the right thing. But dangle freedom in front of a guy and he isn't likely to cause trouble. Well, that's the theory anyway. But I don't buy it. Because last year's the warden's passmen took me, Natalie, and Piper hostage. Those guys are in isolation now. I don't know how long they'll stay there. I hope forever. How's it going, Moose? Fastball asks. Of course, Fastball knows my name. The convicts know my sister's favorite cake, lemon, and my father's favorite book, Leaves of Grass. Last year, Dad forgot Mom's birthday, and a convict reminded him. The prison yard knows everything. They know more about us than we know about them in most cases. I can tell you a convict's prison's name, but not his real name. There's Fang, who bit off a man's finger for refusing to hand over his wallet. Wrong Way Willie, a jewel thief, who got caught because he put the getaway's car in reverse instead of drive. And Tommy 12, who killed 11 of his wives. The 12th one comes to visit every month or so. Fastball doesn't stick out his hand for me to shake. Prisoners are not allowed to touch us. They'll get written up for that. Hey, Fastball says, I heard you and Jimmy got a new game going. I nod. Escape from Alcatraz. Teresa, Annie, Jimmy, and me pasted a group of Alcatraz to an old board game. Then we made steps that lead all around the island. Whoever gets on the ferry first wins. The cards you pick from the deck say things like, wash extra laundry, go forward 1 space, or get caught with a shiv, a prison-made knife, go back 3 spaces. When Jimmy and I play, I always get to be Al Capone, Chicago's prized bad boy and the king of crime, who just happens to be in prison here. My game piece is a little cardboard gangster hat. Jimmy is Count Lustig, a con man and a counterfeiter. We have a tiny fake $100 bill for him. Then there's Machine Gun Kelly, who's a miniature machine gun. And Fastball, he's a tiny baseball. Fastball grins. I'd like to see it. Know some guys might be interested. Probably good to get some expert advice. I try to keep a straight face. Yep, got plenty of that. I understand you got yourself some business with the big man. Well, good luck with that. He moves out of the doorway so I can walk by. His house is full of fancy furniture. It looks too nice to sit on. My feet sink in the runner carpet as I climb the stairwell. My stomach is mixed up, like I can't decide if I ate too much or I'm hungry. Outside the door, in the warden's library, the chandelier flickers, and gospel music plays low on the background. My mother is a music teacher. She would know this piece, but I'm tone deaf and completely lacking in musical ability. When I was 8, she asked me not to play, but in her recital. She said I was kind of bad advertising, Now she tell me it's painful to hear me hum. My eyes scan the hall to the closed door to Piper's room. Is she in there? Come in, the warden booms. How did he know I was standing here? The man's got good ears. The warden sits up straight as a fishing pole in his deep blue suit. Long gray hairs curl out of his eyebrows like tentacles. His big desk, dusty law books, drawn curtains, fountain pen, and squeaky chair all looked the same as the last time I was here. Close the door, he barks. Yes, sir, I say. Should I sit or stand? Stand. Then I can make a fast getaway. The warden gives me a once-over with his Arctic blue eyes. I'll get right to the point, Moose. That unfortunate business earlier this year with Piper. He clears his throat. You handled it very well. It's been 4 months since Piper got mixed up in the counterfeiting operation with Count Lustig and was sent away to boarding school. Why would the warden call me to tell me about this now? Thank you, sir, I say. I'm concerned about her on the island this summer. She's going to be babysitting, right? His chair squeaks. He rubs his neck. I heard he had to pay cash to the stores where she bought things with fake bills. They said she was supposed to earn the money to pay him back. The warden leans forward. I'd like you to keep an eye on her. Being singled out to help Piper is like being the turkey picked for Thanksgiving. I dry swallow. Sir, how about Jimmy? I feel bad suggesting Jimmy, my best buddy on the island. He's not going to want Piper around any more than I do. The warden fixes his eyes on me. She doesn't respect Jimmy the way she respects you. Respect? She doesn't respect me. She manipulates me. He lowers his voice until it's gruff and gravelly. I know she's a handful. Yes, sir. I mutter, my face hot. Then I stand up straight, locking my knees. I'm sorry, sir, but I'm going to be in the city this summer. Doing what? Playing baseball. All day? Not even the pros play all day, Moose. I chomp down on the inside of my cheek. I'm trying out for the high school team. It's practically impossible to get on as a freshman. I'm going to have to work really hard, and besides that, I have responsibilities around Natalie. Piper can help you with her. Piper? At best, Piper tolerates Natalie. And that's if I'm standing right there. I've seen her be so mean it was all I could do to not punch her. I don't think Piper is cut out for that, sir. I really wish I could help, but... He peers at me. I wouldn't ask this of just anyone, but I know you, Moose. I've seen how thoughtful you are. My cheeks flush. He picks up a shiny, sharp letter opener and begins slicing open envelopes. Zrip, zrip, zrip. The paper tears along the crease. If you have a problem, remember my door is always open. I stand there, dumb as a piece of meat. He looks up at me. I'm counting on you, Moose. I hope you know that. My head nods like a traitor. It's only when the door closes behind me that I realize I've just given my summer away, like it wasn't worth 2 pennies to me. The warden is my dad's boss. I have to do what he says. But nobody can keep an eye on Piper. Nobody.